Am I the asshole for applying and landing an awesome job requiring me to travel despite having roommates? Back in 2021, about a month after graduating high school, I moved from Pennsylvania to Florida for school. I was getting a film certification from First Institute. I was supposed to be there for a year. However, I met this guy, Danny, and we liked each other a lot. I broke up with my boyfriend, who I already was going to break up with. And a few months later, me and Danny began going on dates. Eventually, we moved in together and got an apartment with a third roommate who was hardly there, TBH. However, I was hating Florida a lot and hated having to leave my best friends and family. I've been missing them and my fam and others a ton. I ended up living in Florida for 2 years longer than expected, which sucked. I got the certification, but don't do anything with it. Luckily, my bestest friend ever, Zoe, booked a few flights a year to visit me. I knew she was living with her parents at the moment, who she didn't like BTW, but I had to pay rent. It made sense that she voluntarily visited me more than I did her. Around March 2023, I was feeling confident about money and asked Zoe, who was living in Pennsylvania and hated living with her parents, to get an apartment with me. She was so excited, and it was so exciting. However, financial troubles hit. I wanted to return to Pennsylvania on February 28th, 2024, but my boyfriend, who was from Florida, wasn't seriously saving like I was. He couldn't afford it at the time and desperately wanted to move with me, so we signed another 12-month lease and told my best friend that we renewed said lease. She was sad but understood, and I felt awful. I reassured her we'd be moving in together soon. She got super excited about moving in together in August, but I didn't know why. Our lease wasn't up until February. Now I realize she thought we signed a 6-month lease instead of a 12-month, because I mentioned extending it 6 months. I never told her it was 12 months and feel bad for not realizing. Throughout all of me living in Florida, she visited plenty. We did so many awesome things and made a ton of fun memories. I love her so much. We went to Jacksonville, Busch Gardens, Tampa, Gainesville, and her grandma got us free Disney World tickets. It was awesome, and we had a great time, but she kept mentioning me and my boyfriend, because he wanted to come, moving back to Pennsylvania in a month. Previous to our Disney vacation, she was touring open houses and stuff with her mom. We didn't have enough money to break our lease. I broke the news to Zoe once she was back home via text, because I couldn't do it to her face. She was super upset, but after a while understood. My boyfriend and I formed a plan to move to Pennsylvania in October and pay our share of the apartment while here. Our third roommate was still living there and we couldn't kick him out. We were offered a room to stay in by Zoe, a mostly empty office space upstairs in her house. When we first drove to PA with all of our stuff, we dropped it off at another one of my friend's homes. We'll call her Kylie, who had room, in a storage unit before going to Zoe's. We stayed there for a week free of charge, but we had to get our cat. My boyfriend flew back to Florida and picked up our cat. Our old roommate was watching her and flew back to PA. I loved living in my bestie's home in that room, but my cat can't stay in a single room forever. She had 3 dogs who are gentle but have never met a cat. Our cat is over 20 years old. So we moved an hour away into my mentally unstable friend, who was like a sister to me, home. It was okay for a bit, but eventually her cat was tormenting ours and my boyfriend hated living with her. Zoe, I knew, was apartment hunting. For us. But we just didn't have the money after moving. We told her it would be a while until we moved in together, but she seemed okay. My boyfriend told me he wanted to stay where we were and save money until October, but I knew we couldn't do that. I told Zoe maybe April. April came around, and we had to tell my bestie we couldn't afford it. I knew we could, but my boyfriend was enjoying the cheap rent my friend was charging us. She didn't go off, which shocked me, and asked us to meet in a private spot. So we did. My boyfriend Zoe and I talked about finances, being open and honest, and our living situations. We ended up deciding to actually move in together. After a few months, Zoe found us the perfect place. We'd be spending around $600 each a month. It was awesome. We finally moved in together April 25th, 2025, but I still had stuff at my place an hour away. I knew she couldn't stand living with her parents, so I understood when she moved in a lot of stuff on the 25th, including an air mattress. But I still had a lot of stuff at my place 1 hour away. So my boyfriend and I didn't actually live there until around May 2nd. When we moved it's awesome. We love shopping for decor and watching fun movies. Despite the fact I'm 22 and gone from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., Wednesday to Sunday. Zoe has off each Monday just so we can hang out, but I never remember. However, I heard about this potential job that will pay me a pretty hefty amount of money and will fly me around the country. I searched for it, applied, and got an interview, which I rocked. I landed the job, and so I'll be traveling and training photographers for this big company. But Zoe will be living with my boyfriend for 3 weeks out of each month. It's not that I'm concerned they will get together at all. My bestie is a lesbian 1000%. But she confronted me last night, telling me she was sad that I took the job without asking either her or my boyfriend. My boyfriend is also upset I took the job prior to the interview and that she feels like I'm abandoning her again. This job will let me fly around the country and train photographers. It was never my dream, but it feels so exciting. I absolutely love Zoe to the end of the earth and would do anything for her. I know she would do anything for me, and she has. She has visited me in Florida way more than I visited PA. But also, that makes sense because she didn't have to pay rent and I did. Last night, we had a conversation where she kind of broke down, telling me that she can't keep waiting for us to live together and that I keep letting her down. I break down a confrontation, so I shut up. She was like, "Finally, we signed a lease to live together for 15 months. And after 3 years of wondering when it would happen, you leave us for a majority of the time within 2 months." I'm really upset and disappointed. I said, "I'm so sorry. I love you a ton. I feel so bad." She told me she loved me too and left to her room. I could hear her crying. The worst part is that I know she's been talking with the suicide hotline and her therapist twice a week because of her mental health. But why does that require me to not accept a job that pays well and lets me travel? Just because I know her therapist keeps rescheduling her appointments and she left her loved ones, aka he dogs, to live with me. Why should I feel bad for taking this awesome job? A bunch more happened. She apologized for confronting me out of nowhere, like a half hour later, and said I didn't deserve the unexpected confrontation. I told her she didn't deserve to feel sorry for something she didn't do, because throughout her spiel, she kept apologizing for expressing her feelings. It sucks that my roommate and best friend is mad at me for going for the job. I already said yes, and I will be going, but she hasn't spoken to me all day today. I feel like I have to go. Am I the asshole?